It's now, and I want to watch.
Yes, people, another Socialist Sunday is upon us. Welcome to the stream. This is the Sunday live stream on My Left Eye. I'm your host, Lefty. Hope you're all having a good weekend. Hope you're all having a good week. Ogum the Bold, nice to see you in chat. Yes, but Mao Bung, who we saw at the start there, has a villa in Bongoslavia and also shares in a gold mine in Bongo land. That's Mao Tse Bung, the current leader of reformplc.co.uk /recycled Tories, who are one of the choices in this evening's poll. It's a stream with a poll, very simple one. We're just putting a very early feeler out there for whom you think, that is whom you think, not who you'd prefer to, because we all know the answer to that one. But who do you think will win the Manchester mayoral election? There's no hot seats episode this evening, so this is as far as we'll go as bringing up the election. Just want to get your early thoughts. Please do vote in the poll. The choices are air quotes the Labour Party or the Green Party. Geraldine Coggins, that's who we're backing here at My Left Eye. Do you think it will be perhaps the aforementioned reformplc.co.uk /recycled Tories, or do you think it will be such a close run thing that there'll be no overall control? Do share your thoughts, that is your thoughts, not your hopes, with us in the poll. It's who do you think will win? Currently most of you going for the Green Party, who do have a very good chance. It looks as though most of you are considering those recent local election results in your choices. We've got Idiosyncrasy in the chat, and Aaron Gray, nice to see you both. Solidarity. Hope you're having a good week. A quick channel update, please do help us promote our most recent video concerning the 2 million in profits, sorry, 2 billion in profits that Trump's made since he took office. That one could really do with a boost on the algorithm, people, so please do give it a thumbs up, share some hype points on a mobile device, share it around your social media, if you would please, good people. Of course, that was released yesterday, the 4th of July, Independence Day in America, and we certainly look forward to the day where we can rejoice in solidarity with Americans as they free themselves from the shackles of the pumpkin-spiced Palpatine. So a lot of that came from crypto, a lot of the money, and there was a lot of nepotism. Where that's concerned, do check out the video for more. It's also one of those cases where, despite a stock crashing into the ground, for some reason, Donald Trump gets some very juicy dividends, while those who were foolish enough to invest in him get nothing. They've gone to zero. The gullible bastards. Okay. Do help promote that video. I'm going to do a bit of promotion myself here now. First of all, with a round of thanks to all of the members on the channel. We're on 112 now, almost halfway towards the target of 250. Thank you very much for renewing gifting memberships recently. Also thanks to everybody who's contributed in other ways through super chats, super stickers, which are open live right now if you're with us in real time or watching live before the end of the broadcast. Super thanks are also there if you're watching back later on, and the Buy Me a Coffee page can be found in the description of any content on the channel if you're looking for the link for that one. Hedy, nice to see you in chat, brother. How are you? Solidarity this Socialist Sunday to all of our viewers all across the world. Do give us a shout out if you are watching from the States as well. I'm not sure if Peasants Revolt is around. That's one of our friends from the States. Of course, last week, people, we were unfortunately paying tribute in an obituary to another one of our viewers from the States, the Cosmic Cowboy. And our thoughts and best wishes do, of course, still go out to his family. That was quite a shock to hear the news last weekend. But again, if you are watching from the States, we'd like to know your thoughts on the current regime, perhaps what your best hopes are for the future, in terms of getting perhaps a... Could you ever imagine a genuinely socialist president in the United States? Mr. Jared also with us. Very good evening to you. Oh yes, one other very quick thing, people. This isn't in play at the moment. I'll be reminding, excuse me, I'll be reminding you at the appropriate time. But no live football spoilers whilst we are on stream. The next game scheduled kicks off at 9 PM UK time, that is. So please no spoilers where that's concerned. Excuse me, don't know, such a dry throat. But yeah, I'll remind you, come 9 bells. Right, it's a Sunday, so we'll make a swift entry into the Fondue lounge and gatecrash Keith and pals for, again, what could be one of the last times, or the final times, unfortunately, but I say unfortunately. Obviously we do have so much content based around the current Prime Minister, and that is all set to change. So grab as much fondue as you can, while you can, people. Let's see what's happening this eve. Yes, and this being, I believe, the longest running insert or feature, if you will, on the show, or on any, or on any live stream. Yeah. It's going to be quite sentimental. But Keith himself will be the first subject of tonight's analysis. He's done a post while he's still in his position, but a post-announcement interview with the BBC the other day. I'll be throwing my 2 cents at that one in a first-time viewing. So please, again, no spoilers for that in chat. The same goes for a double interview on Kussenberg, who returns to her post, with, of course, Victoria Derbyshire filling in last week. She's got James Murray, of course, recently appointed Health Secretary, as well as current member of the House of Lords and former member of the Blair government, David Blunkett. So that will form a triple interview with Keith and the 2 Kussenberg interviewees. It will be just those 2 interviews. If you'd like a broader analysis of Kussenberg, of course, I always recommend Helen North Justice and Kevin Logan, who are often in conversation together on Sundays, analysing the full show. Fellow Socialist channel, definitely worth checking out. We'll take a look at a couple of polls and stats and things as well. Polanski was also on the news rounds earlier. We'll take a bit of a look at that, not a full in-depth analysis, but just getting his thoughts on what he expects from Andy Burnham, really, on a couple of topics. Like I said earlier, there's no hot seats on this particular stream, but we do have our Stop the Press feature. We've got a couple of things that the media has perhaps been pushing a bit too far forward into the limelight, when you consider the state of affairs, not just in the country, but in the wider world, of course. Also a look at some recent protests and other things surrounding that, including the latest action from Defend Our Juries, which took place at New Scotland Yard this weekend. And again, another arrest for someone regular viewers will have seen quite a lot of on streams and perhaps elsewhere on your social media. Retired Anglican priest Sue Parfitt giving a speech outside New Scotland Yard. We'll see what's happening with that, and there's also another trial result to bring you as well. Plus we'll see what else we can squeeze in. Quite a lot to get through. Bookended, of course, by a pair of comedy clips, the first of which will get started within just a couple of moments. We'll be playing a mini game of Postman Twat through the triple interviews, just to try and keep things a bit more entertaining. We're not really expecting any sort of quality responses, of course, from the people who are concerned, especially Keith. It is a first time watch, but I do understand there were a few things in there that he said in his resignation speech. I'm aware of one of them. Of course, making up a few porkies about his predecessor as Labour leader. But we'll get on to all that. Right, get those final few mouthfuls of fondue down yourselves. We're going to go over to a comedy clip first, and that's going to be from Larry and Paul and the Broken News. Catch you later, Keith.
Welcome to Broken News. Just leave Farage alone. That's the call from a senior group of newspaper editors and political journalists who coincidentally have ties to right-wing organisations which we are going to say aren't relevant to the story. An open letter says the media should be a bit more charitable when it comes to the leader of Reform UK. Our reporter Carl Gusset is here with more. And Carl, it does seem incredibly unfair on Mr Farage. Why would anyone begrudge him making a living?
That's our top line, is it? That he's been treated unfairly by the media.
That's the line we've been told to take by our owners, yes.
Right, well, clearly the controversy surrounds the Trump bum-tonger-in-chief who, just prior to running for MP at large of Clacton, received £5 million actual pounds.
The personal gift from a dear friend.
Yes, if you like, yeah. A friend with a vested interest in Farage being in power, of course.
Well, maybe, but the two things are unrelated.
Are they? How do you know?
Well, because Mr Farage said it.
So, if you, for example, were given £5 million by a mate, then you ran for MP and got into power, and then your mate asked you for a favour, you would
I tell them to fuck off, actually, yes. I would tell them to follow the well-established rules around political lobbying. I just think you're jumping to conclusions. You know, in politics, there can be smoke without fire. But anyway, you know, all of this is a sideshow.
A distraction.
Well, yes, exactly.
Well, from what? The massive political influence of unelected tech bros? Palantir being handed all of our health data on a plate by our government. The Epstein thing for which not one man has been prosecuted.
No. It's to stop us focusing on the real issue of whether Zack Polanski paid any council tax ages ago or whether Angela Rayner cheated HMRC.
Well, she's been cleared of that.
A likely story. There's no smoke without fire in politics.
But you just said like...
Look, all the...
Just 2 minutes ago.
This negativity about Nigel Farage is just wrong. He is just an everyday guy, like you and me. He likes a pint, for God's sake. He smokes fags. He sucks off dogs. He's an everyday guy. One of us.
Everyday guys don't get bunged £5 million from their mates to buy £1 million house with actual cash.
He needed that money for his security, actually. You know, have you ever had
in physical cash
a cup of milkshake?
Oh, the world's softest material.
But thrown at you. He needed that money. Besides,
the world's softest material. Milkshake.
When he was given the money, he hadn't decided whether to become an MP. So, okay, then by that logic, any politician could pretend they aren't going to stand for election, get a multi-million-pound gift.
It's like he had the foresight that he was going to get into the kind of politics that would make people want to lob milkshakes at you. Because, of course, he's changed his story so many times that now we're at the point where he says, oh, of course, this was for security that he preemptively knew that he'd need. Yeah.
And then change their mind.
Yes. No. Whichever answer supports Mr Farage.
Right, so you'd be fine if in the run-up to an election, someone gave, say, Jeremy Corbyn,
Yeah,
£5 million.
what a
He
good
wouldn't be much of
example.
a socialist if he accepted it, would he? And we can't allow politicians to be bought and paid for.
Yeah, like £5 million.
No, like when Keir Starmer got a suit or some glasses or whatever it was. Look, the point is, Reform UK as a political party...
They're a private company.
As a private company, they have a plan to make Britain great again. You know...
plc.co.uk/recycle Tories.
Bugger! Overthrow the establishment.
They consist of mainly old Tory MPs. They literally are the establishment.
No. Look, the thing is, the other parties, they would destroy Britain to death. You know, there'd be nothing left, just purple...
I've genuinely not seen this before.
haired lesbian trans guys between mainland Europe
Lesbian
and
trans
Greenland.
guy. Lesbian trans guys.
That seems a bit dramatic and alarmist. What? I mean, why would, for example, the Greens want to destroy the country?
Well, they have all these policies, but where is the money coming from?
Wealth tax and carbon tax mainly, I think.
Exactly.
That's
Where
right.
is the money coming from?
Well, okay, well, fine. Well, what are reforms policies?
Easy. Send the brown people back, cut everybody's tax. The brown people...
You've done the brown
But
people.
they were born here.
Right. Cut everybody's tax.
Right, okay. So, and how are they paying for that?
Well, they don't have to say yet, do they?
Right. Well, that's all very clear then, isn't it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What a lovely story. That's all from Broken News. You're up to date.
Very good. You do always get good stuff from Larry and Paul. There's a link in the description. Go and subscribe and watch more on the channel, as we're encouraged to. There's a link for that very video as well, if you want to watch it again. Really enjoyed that one. But they are right. He's getting an easy ride. A very easy ride. Sure if that will come up in any of the interviews. We'll get started with the first one. We've got 3 to get through. An abrupt sorry, Herbie, for the abrupt end. That was Herbie Ranger and the Supersonics, by the way. Resident Sunday background music jazz quartet. But we must get cracking. With, of course, you can see Postman Swat in the corner there. That will indicate how many times the word deliver has been mentioned. Just a very quick explanation for anybody who's not a regular viewer. Part of Keith's catchphrase is just a mini game, doesn't count towards the league. Really simple one. You'll hear this noise anytime he's mentioned, so keep your ears out, as I will be doing. Well, I can't help it at this point. Just again another explanation to new viewers. I have a somewhat of a Pavlovian response to the word at this point, and an outright loathing for it, if you don't mind my saying so as well. But on we go. I don't mind suffering, so that you don't have to, dear viewers. Let's see what Starmer had to serve up in this interview from a couple of days ago, was it? On Friday? With the BBC, then on to Kussenberg. Take it away, Keith. I've not done any inserts yet, have I? Well, sure there'll be plenty coming in as Keith gets through this garbage.
Oh no.
What was that? It's a bit small. What's going on there, Phil? Play it again. That's right, sort that out. There we go. Can't be having that. Supposed to be a quality channel, Phil.
Prime Minister, it's your second anniversary in the job this weekend. You're not going to have a third anniversary.
Ha!
When you think back to walking up that street as Prime Minister for the first time. Is it a sweet memory or is it bittersweet?
It's a very sweet memory. It was an incredible occasion. It was the first Labour government for 14 years.
I really hate when they sit down with these bastards and just get into the lovey, feelings of what were the magic moments and all this stuff. And, oh, dude, what's it like when you actually step in to number 10 for the first, and all this stuff that he's doing straight off the bat. Really softball stuff, I guess. I don't know if he's just warming up with this and going to get on to something a bit more pertinent. But we'll see, because frankly, I don't give a dusty fuck when there are 4 million children in poverty, when we still have austerity, when you're still just beholden to CEOs in the markets and such.
I was the Prime Minister. Only 3 Labour Prime Ministers have ever won a majority, and we just won a majority.
What? What?
Fuck off.
Did he actually say 3? He cited something.
Or is it bittersweet?
It's a very sweet memory. It was an incredible occasion. It was the first Labour government for 14 years.
First for 14 years.
I was the Prime Minister.
That's correct. That's correct.
Only 3 Labour Prime Ministers have ever won a majority.
Fuck off. Only 3?
What a load of old crap.
3? Right, okay. Where's he getting that one from?
And we just won a majority.
Which 3?
And so it was a joyous occasion. It was fantastic.
Does he
the
name?
street was covered with so many people who'd
Is he going to name the 3?
worked with me on the campaign.
Don't know if he is. I'm just getting a bit of buffering on this end. Just bear with people. Yeah, I'll just sort this out. It'll take a couple of seconds. And then I really, really want to address that, because that was an outright lie, and we're just a few seconds in. Fucking hell, Keith. I'll just deal with this bufferage. Apologies. Right, sorry for the brief delay. So, yeah, we know that Keith doesn't really know a lot about politics, but to try and claim that Labour have only won a majority 3 times is outright ridiculous. I'm assuming he's counting his own in that one. So, what do? Go backwards chronologically? Or what? Yeah, there are a few people who might have something to say about that one. Obviously, Clement Attlee, I don't know if he's addressing that one. Obviously, Tony Blair as well. So, counting himself, which he obviously is trying to do in that, being the narcissist that he is. What, is he just completely ignoring the 1960s? Because, I think I'm right. Should be right. But Harold Wilson won in 64 and 66. Yeah, he was in opposition in 64 and then he won the sort of snap election a couple of years later after he took office. And then he won again in the 70s. I'm going to say 74. Yeah, 74. And that's 3 just with Harold Wilson. Then obviously you got Attlee in there as well, Blair, whatnot. It's fucking ridiculous. 3. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. And believe it or not, that's after about 30 seconds or so. I'll try and let it run a bit further if I can, but it's probably going to try and ram some more untruths into this interview.
Or is it bittersweet?
It's a very sweet memory, majority. And so it was a joyous occasion. It was fantastic. The street was covered with so many people who'd worked with me on the campaign. And Vic was there, obviously, with me. And we had brought our children in round the back.
We don't fucking care. We don't fucking care.
Photograph, but they were hidden in the crowd.
Oh, what a love!
So it was
Yeah,
really
great.
fantastic,
This really is warming my heart,
occasion.
Keith.
And
Oh yeah,
a very
yeah.
proud moment.
Pride,
Because Prime Minister
so
of the
proud.
United Kingdom is a huge privilege.
It's all about you,
So
isn't it?
It was a very, very special.
You.
And do you see as part of your legacy, as you leave office, or leave two offices, I should say, as leader of the Labour Party and Prime Minister, to what extent do you see your leadership of the Labour Party
Double
as core
fuck
to
off
your
in that
legacy?
case.
I think it's absolutely core, and you can't sort of see the last 2 years if you don't take into consideration the last 6 years, because I took over the Labour
Hi, Davinia.
Party just after we'd lost the 2019 election. That was the worst defeat for a Labour Party.
I started again. He's at it. Oh, the worst defeat, was it? Okay. So tell me, explain to me, Keith, how the number 91 is fewer than the number 60. Please explain to me how Gordon Brown lost fewer seats than Jeremy Corbyn, because that is the real metric that you have to go off of. But even if you went off of the number of people who voted for the party, you'd be in an even worse state as well, because of course, since Tony Blair held office in his second election, nobody's got more votes for Labour than Jeremy Corbyn, including yourself. With it peaking, of course, in 2017. But Corbyn only lost 2/3 of the amount of seats that Gordon Brown did. Fucking half-wit. It really irks me that people still think that they can push these kind of lies in 2026. This sort of stuff was still going around when Keir Starmer first took over as leader of the opposition, and now here we are again.
Pathetic!
It's been debunked and debunked time and time again. He's not going to get any sort of correction from this twat who's interviewing him. It's just nodding along and, oh yeah, tell us more about how bad Jeremy Corbyn was. Fucking revolting.
I find that rather difficult to believe.
Since 1935. And
Since
we were
1935. He's looking us dead in the eye. I'll look you dead in the eye and tell you that as well. Right down the fucking lens. Look at that. Caption that one. Managed to catch Starmer looking right down the lens. He wants you all to believe that 2019 was the worst Labour result since 1935. Absolute tosh. I can see we've got Graham Turner in the chat as well. Darren Smith joining us also. Solidarity. Thanks for joining us. We're just going through this terrible interview with Starmer so far. Quite early in proceedings as well. So far it's been determined that he doesn't know a lot about politics. You might be surprised.
He's got less brains than you, Lenny.
Carry on. Sorry, I'll try and interrupt a lot less. We do have much to get through.
politically, financially, and morally.
But it's really difficult not to... no!
We had the
Come
stain of
on.
anti-Semitism.
Oh, don't fucking hell. Oh, no. Where to start? Corbyn left you with a £35 million surplus that you obviously threw away with your purge of the left or whatever else you spent it on. And don't get started with the AS crap. Really, it's very low. And again, you're not going to get any interruption or correction from the interviewer, which is really sad as well.
What a load of old crap!
The anti-Semitism. Can you point out statistically how that was a thing when there were less genuine cases of anti-Semitism in the Labour Party than any other party at the time, Keith? You're not aware of the facts that the majority of the accusations came from a small amount of people and were quite easily debunked. He's not interested in actual statistics. Can't stand this man. Please don't let the door hit you on the way out, Keith.
And we weren't trusted.
Disgusting
by the
liar.
public on the economy, on defence and security, and on immigration.
What
And
really
most
pisses me
people
off
on
is that
then
it
said,
was he that did it.
"The Labour
And he's
Party
like, oh, people didn't like the party after I'd gone through so much trouble to try and stop them liking the Labour Party.
accepted that."
Thinks we all came down with the last drop of rain.
But the first task was to clean up and fix my party, to tear out anti-Semitism, to turn and make it face the country.
Get to fuck.
To take the hands and the grip of my predecessors off every
That was the
lever in
biggest
Labour
load of
Party. This
crap
was
I've ever heard.
Hard and bloody work.
And he's just allowed to say this again, completely uninterrupted. This is what they call journalism at the BBC, is it?
What the fuck is going on up there?
change our party, to make the party.
This
face
is
the
trash.
electorate,
This is absolute
face the
fucking
country.
propaganda.
And even then, people said,
Trash.
well, you seem to be changing the
Grade
Labour Party,
A
but it's
manure.
not possible for Labour to win an election within 5 years of such a bad defeat. But we did it. We fought hard, and we went from the lowest of low bases to a general election victory in 2024. And I say, you know, Labour doesn't win that often enough, and we've only ever won 3 majorities, and we won a majority in 24, and therefore.
Fucking hell. You've won in 45, you've won in 64, you've won in 66, you won in 74 as well, 97, 2001. Fucking hell, Keith. 3.
45, 1997, and
Oh, he's
2024.
right. It's okay. So those are the ones he remembers. So what? He's completely ignored everything that Harold Wilson did there for a kick-off. He isn't aware that Tony Blair managed to get re-elected as well. I'm not defending Tony Blair, of course, but it's just statistically untrue. I didn't think this man could insult our intelligence any more than he's already tried to do in the last 6 years, and I'll go, obviously, of course, right back to when he took over the party, not just as Prime Minister. He's an absolute piece of shit, he really is.
Go down as 3 of the most successful elections in the history of the Labour Party.
So you're clear you've been a success as Labour leader. Have you been a success as Prime Minister?
Well, the test of that, I think, has to be...
And he's going to look right into the camera again. Well, I'll tell you what metric I'll go off, Keith. How about the fact that you're the least popular elected Prime Minister ever? And not just that, now the shortest serving as well. Put that in your suitcase when you're on your way out the door.
Is the country in a better state now?
That's legacy
than it
for you.
was, when I inherited it 2 years.
No, it isn't, and that's why people don't like you.
If you look across the big ticket items that really matter.
Big ticket
The
items.
economy was broken when we came in. It was the aftermath of Liz Truss.
You've made some rich people richer since you got in? We're certainly not feeling this out on the streets of Britain.
And we have...
The look on his face is of a man doing his best to remember a script, not to recall things that he's actually done.
Turn that around and stabilise the economy.
Nina said, "You're nice to see you in chat." Very good evening, comrade.
Economy in the G7.
Solidarity.
Where we've been able to stabilise, even during a period of conflict in the Iran war. We're a leader on AI, etc.
You stood on TV multiple times and lied to the public about our involvement. We were obviously involved. America wouldn't have been able to do what they did if it wasn't for us. We directly facilitated those attacks. You are a liar.
If you look at our public services, in particular the NHS, they were on their knees.
One of the first things you did was put bus fares up, Keith, and stop winter fuel payments and put in the 2-child benefit cap.
In our public service.
Right off the fucking bat as well. All under the ridiculous umbrella excuse of a £22 billion black hole.
Services. And in recent weeks, we've seen the biggest fall in NHS waiting lists in 17 years. If you look at issues like child poverty, where...
oh, don't worry, I'm on the ball. I'm on the ball with you, Keith, that's the truth.
We'll lift 500,000 children out of poverty and have a lasting impact on their lives. If you look at defence and...
There are 4 million children in poverty, Keith. I know this because I looked into the stats quite a bit before I campaigned against it recently with Take Back Power.
Security, where we've had 2 big uplifts in defence spending, but we've done more than that. We are now leading coalitions in Ukraine. It's France, Germany and the United Kingdom leading there. In the Strait of Hormuz, it's France and the United Kingdom. Strategic decisions with other countries. And then if you look at our international reputation...
We're doing the most to drag the world into another war.
Which frankly was in tatters 2 years ago.
What, £100 billion as well to Ukraine?
We are in such a better position now as a trusted partner, not just across the EU, but much more widely, where once again...
I find that rather difficult to believe.
So MPs got rid of you. If you...
Oh, he said something. The guy said something instead of just sitting there with it. Is there anything on that fucking clipboard? Nodding along. Yes, best, what was it? Worst general election result ever for Corbyn, wasn't it? And, oh yeah, there were only ever 3 majorities won by Labour. He's actually got a voice now. He's actually taken his balls out of the Director General's fucking purse.
To answer that question, are we in a better position? Then
but only to ask for a bit more clarity.
Yes, we are, and that's right, and I'm proud of that. It is right that I do.
But it must make it extra...
Nice to see you, Tim. Solidarity.
That your colleagues have said, thanks, but no more.
No, the way I've analysed that, and look, it's not a decision I wanted to make. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I didn't want to be in this position.
Because you can, the hubris that you have is behind that, and your complete failure to see the elephant in the room or even address your own lack of popularity as Prime Minister.
But the way I've looked at it is this. The question being asked now is not who was the best person to save the Labour Party and turn it around. I've answered that question pretty comprehensively. It's not who's the best person to lead us to allow...
Turned it nowhere. The unions are more or less, abandoning you wholesale. Memberships are down. You're not turning the part... What, because you managed to trick the public into voting for you by saying change 1,000 times every day. That's it. You think that's a stroke of genius, do you? Whilst obviously continuing to trash your predecessor with a litany of lies and smear campaigns that are still ongoing.
Slide Labour victory. I've answered that question pretty comprehensively. The question my colleagues in the Parliamentary Party are asking now is, am I the right person to take us into the next election?
No, you're not.
And they've answered
evidently
that question.
You think their answer is wrong?
And you will.
Look, they've answered that question, and I accept that answer, and I accept it in good grace. And this is really important to me because I really care that there's a Labour government.
I don't think you'd be saying this if you really accepted it,
because I
Starmer.
want our country to succeed. And
Doc, nice to see you in
yes,
chat.
that's the answer they've
Trumpet fanfare entry there for Doc.
I accept that in good grace.
And why not?
And what I want to do now is to make sure that whatever comes next is a success. And so I'm doing everything I can in the remaining time I've got to make sure that there's an orderly transition, everything...
It won't be that difficult because it's just going to be more of the same.
Is there to ensure there's a stronger foundation as can possibly be for my...
Is he doing the... he's trying to do the I'm still important bit. I still count. I still have influence. And don't think so.
What we've achieved so far can be built on. And I believe it can, because the next Prime Minister will inherit a stable economy, good public services, or improving public services, a big majority.
But it's unstable,
really?
the economy having to have it.
Really? Oh, right, well, call a general election then. Do a Theresa May if you want. And I'll come on to the economy after these interviews, because the Global Wealth Report is out, so we'll be taking a look at the latest stats from the UBS.
New Chancellor, a new leader.
Hear me out, and therefore my successor will have a platform to build on, which means that Labour can go on and should go on to win the next election, and that's what I'm trying to make sure I'm able to do over the next few days to serve my country.
That's not what the polls say at the moment.
I bow out.
More about that to come as well.
In politics, I'm very clear about that. I've said to all my colleagues it's not the end of their journey. And it's very important that we all do what we can to make sure what comes next is a success.
Did you say that to Rachel Reeves?
Let's talk about the shape of what...
Because she's going to be going, isn't she? Going to be replaced. It's not going to be Ed Balls, by the way. I know there's been some speculation online that Ed Balls is going to be Chancellor. You have to have a parliamentary seat that is in the Commons, whilst Balls sits in the House of Lords. He's on other committees and stuff as well still. But no, he won't be able to, well, technically. But there are ways around things, as is happening right now, and has sort of happened in the past. Do you remember with David Cameron's sensational sort of return?
Comes next. Because you were very clear just then that you see your work on the global stage as a core part of your legacy.
Yeah.
You talk about rebuilding alliances that were shredded when you came into office. Do you not worry that a new Prime Minister takes a bit of that back to square one?
Well, I don't think a new Prime Minister will, because, and there's often this discussion, what's the right balance between dealing with international affairs and dealing with domestic affairs? They're one and the same thing. And it is in the best interest of our country to be able to lead...
Well, you have... it's not like a binary choice. You have departments and ministerial positions as well for various things, don't you, Keith?
The international...
At least you do if you're organised.
Just give you 2 or 3 examples of that. The biggest impact on the cost of living, therefore on the household income and living standards of everybody in the country, the biggest impact in the last few years has been, on the one hand, the Ukraine conflict, on the other, the Iran conflict that's going on at the moment, and the Strait of Hormuz. And therefore, if you're Prime Minister and you care what bills are going to be like in any household around the country, you have to care about finding a lasting solution to the situation in Ukraine. You have to care about what...
Just chuck 100 billion at it, willy-nilly.
What happens in the Strait of Hormuz. And that's why I am proud that when other countries have looked to the sort of group of countries that's needed to work on these, they've looked to the UK and to France and Germany for the work on Ukraine in particular, the Coalition of the Willing, and they've looked again to France and...
Coalition of the Willing.
What a load of old crap!
UK when it comes to the work that needs to be done on reassurance in the Strait of Hormuz. And that is, I am proud of the fact that the UK is now regarded as a leader, a country that others look
They're not. We're not.
To engage with, and that is in our best interests here at home. You can't. It's not sensible.
God, he's so deluded, isn't he?
These two things out.
Because there are those.
Can't genuinely believe this crap.
Who think that the next Prime Minister could spend less time on diplomacy than you have. You're saying pretty clearly that's not possible.
No, I don't think it is possible, and I've given you the example of Ukraine and the straight up on moves. I can give you plenty of other examples. The deal we did...
I could give you plenty of other bullshit.
...with the US that safeguarded all the jobs at JLR up in the Midlands.
It's integral to the domestic picture.
Before we did that deal, I went to see the workforce and looked them in the eyes. They were really worried because of the threatened tariffs that they were going to lose their jobs. And I went back to them immediately. We did the deal with President Trump. And they were so relieved because they knew for them, their families, their communities, it was a massive deal. So this suggestion you could really, in the modern era, simply split up international and domestic is just...
You just sold us out to Trump. That's all you did.
It isn't right.
Do you ever think the job's
coward
too much for one person?
No, it's obviously you need a strong team around you. You need a good cabinet team. You need a good strong team here in number 10.
You didn't have that.
There's a lot of support that goes in. But in the end...
You had a lot of parachuted in neoliberal trash. That's all you had. Because it was fully authoritarian from the top down as soon as you got in.
You fascist junta!
I think particularly for the Prime Minister, working very closely with the Chancellor, that is where sort of key decisions have to be made, priorities have to be decided, and you know, trade-offs have to be taken.
The same trade-offs for your successor as you've faced?
Yeah, look, whoever's my successor is going to face the same global conflict. We're in the... you know, we keep saying, and it's true, we're in a more...
I can't believe he's not said deliver yet, to be honest.
Probably most of my lifetime. That's not just a phrase, that's reality, that's not going to change. And the domestic challenges aren't going to change. And as Prime Minister, you have to take very many decisions every single day, and none of them are easy. But everybody understands that that's the role of the Prime Minister. And, you know, it is a really... you know, important role, sitting alongside the great privilege of actually being the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
I think even Larry the Cat knows that your successor is going to be Andy Burnham. And you've done something quite unusual.
God, we were up all night writing that one.
In the past, which is you've mocked him. I remember an event in 2022, just after the World Cup final, the last World Cup. I'll just read you a bit of what you said. You said, Andy got to see his boyhood team Argentina win the World Cup. It was a mixed bag because he also got to see his boyhood team France lose the final. And his boyhood teams Morocco and Croatia lose in the semis. You're smiling. You think this is still funny. I mean, what did you mean by that?
Well, look, I think this was a Christmas speech to, I think it was to the journalists or something.
It was, that's why I remember
It's intended to be very light-hearted, etc. But let me give you another side of my relationship with Andy, which I think is really important, because we've been working together for years. When I first came here, I came into politics, as you know, late in life, and we'd just lost another election. And the first person I wanted to work for and did work for...
Because just after he lost the leadership race to Corbyn by a considerable margin, you just happened to decide to get involved with politics, didn't you, Keith?
...was Andy Burnham, and we worked together in the Shadow Home Office team for a little while. And then since he's been mayor, we've been working very closely together on some really important projects like Northern Powerhouse Rail, but also, you know, in the aftermath of the awful...
Northern Rail doesn't perform very well. Northern Powerhouse is a Conservative Party phrase, Keith. I don't know if you're aware of that one either. That was a concept that they introduced. Northern Rail as a franchise is an absolute disaster. It's one of the worst performing in the country and certainly nothing to gloat about.
Attack on the synagogue up
Dear
in
me.
Manchester. I was on the phone to Andy straight away. It was one of the first calls I made. Went straight to Manchester, and he and I then worked intensely closely together in the aftermath of that awful attack.
Do you like him?
Yes, I do. We've always got on. He supports the wrong football club,
so do you.
But you know, so do I. The ability, you know, we get on. I've never had any personal animosity, and I wish if he is my successor, obviously there's a little bit of process to go, but I want what comes next to succeed, and I'm going to do everything I possibly can to make sure it does succeed, and I'm going to support the government. And what I mean by support is that any advice I give will be only given if asked for. It'll be given behind the scenes, and I won't be on camera on the radio giving my version of what the Prime Minister should be doing, because that's my interpretation of supporting a Labour government.
Like Tony Blair
Let's
does.
talk a bit about how it feels to do this job. We're here in your study.
Don't care about his feelings. We, you know, out of everything, we care least about Starmer's personal feelings. This interview has been absolutely terrible. Don't know how much this guy earns a year, but has been frankly appalling.
I'm told you come here to think alone. Has it been lonely?
No, it's not lonely because you're surrounded by teams the whole time, but sometimes you do need space to just sit alone, go through difficult decisions, and just slightly step outside the inevitable noise and hustle that is always in number 10. So whether it's here in the study or whether it's actually our flat, which is just over there, I do have these places where I can go and sort of just get a bit of space. In the flat here where I'm with Vic and the kids, I never have work meetings in the flat. So we've got a strict rule. Once you go through the front door, I'm Dad, not Prime Minister, and it's our space. So creating those spaces have been important to me.
And it takes a toll on the family too, doesn't it?
Look, it's been really hard for them. They've been amazing. Vic, my wife, has been by my side every single step of the way, through some many, many happy and joyous occasions, like walking up the street the day after we won the general election. But she's been by my side every single day when it's been tough, in the same way. And of course, for our children,
Aaron, it was Tony Blair that played guitar. I don't think Keith does. I don't think he's ever said that he does. But Tony Blair did. Apparently there's footage of him, I can't remember what PR stunt it was, but of him playing a guitar at some thing or other. I do recall having seen.
It's taken the decision to protect them, so we never name them. We never have photographs taken of them. That is unusual for them. You know, they're teenagers moving into Downing Street. My little girl was 12, 13, and my boy was 17. No, it wasn't 17, it was 15, sorry, going on 16, 2 years ago. And to come and live in this environment was very odd for them, and they've been amazing. But there's things I've not been able to do with them, because if there's cameras there, then I tend not to do it with them, and therefore they've been deprived of doing some things with me that they might have otherwise been able to do. But they've been fantastic.
Your wife was by your side during the last few weeks, which have clearly been very difficult for you.
God.
When was the...
Really don't care about all of that. Yeah, JK sounds like he's interviewing a beloved Prime Minister rather than the most despised ever, including Thatcher. Good point.
Who do you suggest we play? Thatcher!
The moment that the two of you, I think as a pair, decided it was over?
Well, it was tough. I'm not going to pretend otherwise.
Don't
really,
care.
really tough. As I grapple with what...
It's been tough for millions of families. It's been tough knowing that we were deprived of a socialist government for at least a decade, when you got what you wanted and deliberately undermined Jeremy Corbyn. Don't suppose you're going to bring up the European Union during this interview by any chance, are you, Keith?
What was the best thing to do for me, for the country, for the government? And those discussions inevitably start with many discussions with colleagues, with parliamentary colleagues, with the team here, with my immediate advisors, with trade unions, so many people in that discussion. But for me, and this may be different for other people, in the end, it became an intensely personal decision. And that's why it was a decision taken ultimately when Vic and I were away with the kids. We went to Chequers and just spent 2 days together as a family. And that's when I came to my final decision. And it wasn't that I didn't want other advice at that stage. I'd had plenty of conversations. But when you are taking the decision to step down from the role as Prime Minister, taking the decision that your political career is over, it is an intensely personal matter, or at least it was for me. and I wanted
Just
to do
said that.
with Vic.
And anyway,
And that's
you're the only person who's the Prime Minister, so of course it's personal for you. Jeez.
what I did.
And as you described earlier, you came to politics later than most. You've had an incredibly successful life. 11 plus, 2 great universities, DPP at a relatively young age. You come to politics, and I think you've said before you thought you might be Ed Miliband's Attorney
He's
General.
been carried very well by
Leader
the
of Labour
establishment,
Party
yeah.
Within 5 years, Prime Minister within 9. It must be difficult that clearly the last 2 years ultimately haven't gone as you'd hoped.
Oh,
Well,
you feel,
the way
oh
I see it
dear,
is
yeah.
this.
Let's get our small violins
I
out.
didn't come into politics in order to be the Prime Minister. I came in...
You specifically came in to undermine Corbyn and then become leader of the Labour Party and then become Prime Minister. That is specifically what you did. Don't buy that for a single second.
That was the biggest load of crap I've ever heard.
because I wanted to be part of something that would change millions of lives for the better. I stepped up as leader of the Labour Party after the 29 election, and so the way I'd put it is the Labour Party
29?
arguably could have been lost.
You mean 19?
But I stepped up as leader and with others.
We're in 26, 29's in 3 years, Keith. Carry on.
We saved the Labour Party.
Save the Labour. Yeah, it really need, with its 35 million surplus and record membership, the largest party in Europe, it really needed saving, didn't it?
We returned it as an electoral force, won a general election, and then in 2 years...
I think it was the fact that you got worried that it was an electoral force in 2017 and redoubled your efforts to undermine the leader, to try and destroy your own party, and then turn around and go, oh, well, look at the state of this party. I better do something about it. One loveless landslide later, here we are.
Have started the important work of change and left the country in a materially better state than it was 2 years ago. So yes,
False.
Look, in answer directly to your question, did I want
He's got
it
less
to
brains
end
than
at
you,
this point
Lenny.
in this way? No, I didn't. But I accept that with good grace. As I look back, am I proud of the fact that I picked the Labour Party up, turned it around, turned it back into electoral force, got rid of anti-Semitism in our party?
The only things you have to be proud of are complete fantasy and completely made up by yourself and others. That's not such a great CV, Keith, politically. Your only achievements being within the realms of fantasy.
Ensured our party was trusted again on the economy.
And again, twatty interviewer, nodding along. Do your frigging job, man.
On defence and on immigration, and won not just a general election but a landslide general election, and put in a shift at 2 years that has seen our economy stabilise, our public services improve, and our international standing in a completely different place.
Can we have Ros Adkins at one side doing a BBC verifying real time to all of this, or at least something to relieve ourselves from this torrent of manure that we're being subjected to?
When I look back on that, I'm proud of what I've done, and I shall exit now. Having done that, I shan't, as I say, give unwanted advice.
You better be quick about it then, Keith.
I shall simply make sure that I do everything I can to make sure what comes next is a success, and support all of my colleagues in that. I want the government to succeed. I want all my parliamentary colleagues to succeed, and I've told them that.
Coming soon, Lord Starmer.
And I mean it.
And you're going to stay as an MP?
I'm going to stay as an MP.
Until the next election?
Yes.
Do you have another big job in you?
Well, I'm going to end this... well, I'm not sure if any will be open this late on a Sunday, but a quick dart out to the bookies to put everything I've got, which isn't a lot, on Keith losing his seat. Will, former Workers' Party of Britain still be standing, or will it be as an independent? Either way, he's not got an ice cube in hell's chance
Some people are talking about an international job.
I don't know, is the honest answer to that. The decision I've taken is that I should focus 100% on serving my country as Prime Minister until the day I leave, and then I can take time to think about what might come next. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. It's a big job, it's really important, and my way of dealing with these things is to say I will focus on what the job in hand is, and that job in hand for me is serving my country, which is an incredible privilege, making sure that what comes next is a success, going with good grace, and then having gone, keeping my mouth shut rather than giving constant advice to my successor about what they should be doing.
And if you don't want to get ahead of yourself, you might not like this final question, but it's the last one.
That's going to be a real hardball question as well. I bet, is it? God, who is this absolute sap?
Your last day as Prime Minister is the day after the World Cup final.
Yes.
Arsenal have won the
Football
league on your
question.
watch.
Right,
Are England
okay,
gonna win the World
brilliant.
Cup?
Well, I really hope so. I mean,
Yeah, I don't give a fuck what Keir thinks about our
we're a great
chances.
squad, and of course, last time we won was under a Labour government, so that bodes well.
No, that's impossible, Keith. That's impossible. Because you said that they've only won in 45, 97 and 24. So all of a sudden he remembers Harold Wilson and 1966. And just to bring the interview full circle, of course, tying it up with another obvious revelation of a lie. Through the interview, my God. I don't remember Harold Wilson when it suits me, when I'm trying to gloat about my imaginary fantasy achievements. But now you've asked me about football, it's 66 all the way, motherfucker. Jesus wept. Right, let's wrap this up.
I don't want to, do anything.
Got 2 more interviews to go. God, I'm going to be a nervous wreck. Going to be a nervous wreck by the end of the stream.
Arsenal fan and England fan. I have watched England, I don't know how many times. I watched them back in 21 in the Euro finals in Wembley, and of course we lost on.
Really riveting
but I think it was
stuff here, absolutely
really
on the edge of my seat.
But yes, they can win it, and I really hope we do.
Oh dear, we seem to have accidentally missed the end of that riveting answer with the insert. But on to the next interview now. Actually, just let's we'll just go back into chat for a moment. I'm not getting straight into Kussenberg. I need a minute or two here. That was awful.
Very poor indeed, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I guess in the sake of brevity, I was going to show this poll a bit later in the stream, but just to address some of the claims that Starmer made during that interview about, turning things around for the country and whatnot. This is the latest global wealth report from UBS. You can see us towards the bottom. Yes, towards the bottom there, just above Cyprus. In terms of wealth per adult and median wealth per adult, as well as the average. So down 23.2% on average, and the median figure is minus 23.6. At the top, you might be surprised to find Korea. But not looking very good. And that was published just this week. Turning things around, indeed. Is it, Keith? And that's not nickel and diming. I mean, 23.2% and 23.6% respectively. And no offence to Cypriots who might be watching, but yeah, when you're comparing yourselves to economies as small as Cyprus, that says quite a lot. Russia, incredibly, also up 36.9% on average. So sorry, Keith, it doesn't wash. Jacqueline, nice to see on stream. You're surprised that he didn't claim one of his family was playing in England. Yeah. Granddad was in the squad. What did he do? Maybe cleaning boots or something with the tools that his father would then go on to manufacture. Okay, second interview now. Let's go in with Laura Kussenberg. Thank you, Herbie Ranger and the Supersonics. Laura returns from a break last week. So we just bring Postman Twat back up. No mentions so far, but we're just one interview out of 3 in. So it's a double on Kussenberg, first with James Murray and then from David Blunkett. Let's see what's happening. I've not seen this as well,
does keep
no spoilers.
On governing.
Oh, and it's gone 9 o'clock. Just a reminder as well, no live football spoilers in chats either, please.
James Murray was promoted to Health Secretary when Wes Streeting quit not so long ago. But last week, we spotted him there, peeping in at the edge of Andy Burnham's giant selfie we can show you. James, there with the circle round him.
Sorry, Mike's back on now. A bit of an issue there. But yeah, you saw him peeking his head out there. I've got it slightly zoomed in. But I don't think that most of the people in this picture will be pretty glad that they were in years to come. Let's put it that way.
So many MPs.
Look at all those shit-eating grins.
He's cramming in, trying to impress the man widely expected to be the new boss. But we're grateful to have you here this morning, James, as the Health Secretary, as things stand. Now, something the government's announcing today could make a lot of difference to people at home. You want to save time and money by using technology in the NHS in England, so-called AI triage. Does that mean a computer is going to decide if you get to see a doctor?
No, that's not what it means. But what it means is that we're going to spend the investment, which was announced last year in the NHS, to modernise it.
How much money is going to go to private companies?
What I want to make sure happens is that those technologies, which really focus on the experience of patients and on the work that frontline NHS staff do, those are the technological improvements we prioritise, and we make sure they're spread out right around the country, so every local area benefits from them. That's been my priority as Secretary of State since I was appointed in May.
So how will this work then, this specific thing of AI triage? What will that mean?
So AI triage will operate through the NHS app, which means that...
Robodocs. New soap opera coming to you soon, Robodocs. It's going to be like ER meets Terminator Salvation. Interesting crossover.
Rather than having to get on the phone at 8 a.m. and wait in a queue, it can give you some advice via a conversation with an AI device on your NHS app. Now, this has been trialled at a GP practice in Sussex, and what they found is that the queues for the 8 a.m. phone call dropped by almost a third as a result of this. because the AI app gave some directions to people around go towards your pharmacy, have some self-care if that's the right thing for you, or direct you towards your GP or
So they've not got an appointment, you've just gone, well, can't you go out and cure yourselves instead? What do you think I am? A doctor?
Clinician at your GP practice.
But does that, though, does mean essentially that a bot, a computer program, not a computer, but a...
Yeah, they analyze the problem and give advice on it, a sort of diagnosis, if you will. It does sound somewhat similar, because whatever the symptoms are, the AI is going to go through them all and decide that they can deal with it better if they just pop down to a chemist or whatever.
Computer program is deciding whether or not you should have access to a doctor.
No, it's you who decides whether you call your doctor. When you have the app, when you have the AI triage, you can still pick up the phone and talk to your doctor. But this...
And of course you need another app, and Grandma is great with apps, isn't she? Especially when she's really ill. Yeah. So it's okay as long as you're completely tech literate.
This is an alternative. If I can just say as well, one other technology where we're using AI to change people's experience in hospitals and in different healthcare places across the country is AI note-taking. Now, this sounds like a small thing, but it could be really huge. And I met one of the consultants in St George's Hospital this week who was waxing lyrical about it, because what this means is that on average, it saves clinicians working on the front line 47 minutes a day. If you add that up across the whole of the health service, it can save a huge amount of time. Some of the projections show what this could mean if it was in all of the emergency departments, 9,000 extra A&E consultations a day. That's about 3.4 million a year.
God, he sounds like a shit fucking computer software salesman or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, this is really a big change that we can have through this technology.
And everybody loves tech when it works, when it makes life...
Well, I just pulled that off the top of my head, but technically that is what he's doing here, if we're being honest.
Easier. But also a lot of people worry about when tech goes wrong. And there's a lot of public anxiety about making tech so central to the NHS and all of our most private and most sensitive data.
I hate, just get the app, that sort of solution. To all sorts of things, but yeah, just download, apps, as and then of course pushing up the requirements for more modern phones that have more memory and more capability, because phones can only take so many apps. That is, whether somebody can actually operate them or not as well.
And there are many concerns expressed by members of the public, but also by MPs, about the involvement of one company, Palantir. Are they going to be involved in the investments that you're making today?
So the investments we're making today are very different than the Federated Data Platform, which is the NHS...
huge IT program.
Yeah, and that's the technology where Palantir are involved with. And there's a review at
the moment... But are they involved? It might be a different thing, but are they involved with it as well? They can be involved in more than one thing. In fact, they have global influence, a very disgusting amount of global influence. I don't know if you're aware of the fact.
Around Palantir's role in that contract, because there is a break clause in the contract next April. So there's a review going on at the moment. That kind of limits a bit what I can say, because it's a contractual process. I do think there's an important point to make here, which is that I want to see more British firms bidding for and winning NHS contracts. That is good for people's trust, I think, in the system. If we've got more British firms playing a bigger role, it's good for our sovereignty, for AI sovereignty, and it's good for jobs and good for growth.
But do you not trust Palantir then?
Well, as I said, there's a review at the moment. I'm limited in what I can say because there's a review about...
You can say fuck off to Polanski is what you can say.
That contract, and it's a contractual process. We need to let that review play out. But I'm clear, I want more British firms to play a role in NHS delivery in the future.
But it sounds like you...
Yeah, good point there, Graham Turner in chat. Despite the overwhelming sanctions on Cuba, of course, the right will have you think that socialism doesn't work. That's why they have to try and interfere with it so much. But they're falling over doctors in Cuba. Absolutely. One of the most doctors per capita in the world, actually. Again, despite those severe restrictions that could be about to increase even more, because Trump's done Venezuela, and rumour has it that he could have his sights set on Cuba, unfortunately. But thanks for pointing that out in the chat, Graham.
You do have on an option that there is an option on your desk to follow the break clause of that contract, essentially to call Palantir's involvement to a halt. And the Commons Science Committee have said on the record that Palantir shouldn't have such a significant role.
Well, any review has to be open-minded. That's the point of having a review, and it's a formal process that we go through before the break clause next April. I know it sounds like I'm being careful what I'm saying, but I don't want to prejudge the review, because that's a formal process to be gone through.
But just to be clear with people, it is an option then of booting them out.
Well, it's a break clause in the contract next April, and this review is to determine what we should do about that contract.
What would you say to doctors right now?
Well, that little smile there after the, and I'll swear on a stack of Bibles, it's all true.
Now, who are advised by their union, the BMA, to boycott the programme, even though it's being used in lots and lots of NHS settings around England. The Department of Health and the NHS have made quite big claims about the efficiencies that their programmes have been bringing. But if doctors are being told to boycott it by the BMA...
It's almost as if, since we left the EU, we left an overwhelming amount of resources with it as well. Quality doctors, quality nurses, who were originally from abroad as well. Maybe address that elephant in the room.
What would you say to them?
I would say it's important in my mind to separate Palantir as the company who's got the contract at the moment from the Federated Data Platform, which is the technological innovation which is driving some of the change in the NHS. And
celebrate Palantir. Are you on crack?
Benefits to that Federated Data Platform in terms of speeding up people's cancer treatment, making better use of operating theatres. Yes, that's a really important benefit for patients across the NHS.
So doctors should use it even if they've got reservations about the company?
Well, I want to see doctors using the Federated Data Platform because the benefits are so great that we can get from using that to make the NHS more efficient and better for patients.
There are, and you've made it clear, there's a possibility that you might get the government out of this contract with Palantir. But it is also the case, many people will say, there simply is not a British company who has that expertise right now, and there won't be for another few years. So if you were to walk away from using them, actually, don't you leave the NHS without the best technology that they need to make a difference to patients' lives?
Well, this is part of the role that government can play across the piece, which is about creating a market. So the signal from the government...
There you go. Market creation takes priority, doesn't it? Market creation. Yeah. Patients are basically treated like customers, like assets, in this case, where private healthcare is concerned. So if there is going to be market creation, then that only indicates one thing, and that's private contracts. Said the quiet part out loud there, I think.
That we want more British companies to bid for contracts, that we will use the new guidance which allows us to prioritise British contracts on national security.
And what if I snap my fingers, because I'm a wizard, and tomorrow everybody was cured of every disease and ailment that there was? Would that be something to celebrate, or would that mean that a lot of rich people are going to lose a lot of money because of these contracts and the markets are going to suffer? It's almost as if you want to keep people in a perpetual state of ill health to try and overdiagnose people for the sake of pharmaceutical companies. And yeah, healthy lives means less profit, and that's not something that those markets would like to see.
And economic resilience grounds, we can help create that market by giving a signal to British firms. As I say, I'm not going to get into any of the timings now because there's a review underway at the moment. But the principle here about prioritising British firms, giving a signal to the market, making sure we're working as a government to develop that industry and that British capability and that sovereign ability is really important.
I'm sure that all the people sitting watching this who can't get an NHS appointment are very reassured by what you're saying about the markets here, James Murray.
And on a point of principle, I know you don't want to be drawn on the specifics of this contract, but as the Secretary of State for Health, as a point of principle, would you prefer that it was a British firm that handled British citizens' sensitive data?
I think as an overall point, and I'll be careful not to talk about this contract we're talking about, as a principle, I want to see more involvement from British firms.
You're going to talk about principles. Okay, off you go.
I think that helps to give people confidence because trust is so important when we're handling people's data. I think it helps to strengthen our...
The words trust and Palantir are somewhat distant from each other. James Murray, I don't know if you're aware of what they actually get up to.
Sovereignty, AI and our tech sovereignty, and it's good for jobs. It's good for growth in Britain.
Now, you've been in the job for just a matter of weeks, really, but...
Yet again, I don't really care if people are being paid to do evil shit, or be arseholes or whatever it is. I just care that they're arseholes doing evil shit, and I want them to stop, whether they are paid or not paid. Job creation. You can pay people to do some pretty bad things, James.
One of the issues on your desk that sadly everyone is now well aware of are some of the appalling failures in maternity care. There was a major report recently that spelled out just how bad it's been in some parts of the NHS. Now, your predecessor, Wes Streeting, has said that hospital bosses who refuse to cooperate with the inquiry looking into it have shown cowardice. He said it was an insult to the Nottingham families. That's where one of the worst scandals has taken place. And he wants them to be summoned to the Health Committee and forced to give evidence. Is he right? Should they testify to MPs about what they did?
So the decision for the Health and Social Care Select Committee is for the committee chair. I don't want to step on their toes, but let me answer your question directly about what's happened in Nottingham, because the week before Donna Ockenden's report was published, I spent a day...
Anyone from that area in chat? Anyone from East Midlands, Nottingham?
In Nottingham, meeting with families, listening to what they had been through and just the sheer pain that they suffered and carry with them to this day. And it was really numbing. It was traumatic for them to have to relive their experience, but for me to hear it, I felt numb. And then someone in the room had 20, 25 people in there, someone in the room said, "But remember, James..."
Hello, Snake, good evening. Thanks for throwing up the watermelons as well. Nice to see you in chat.
This is just a tiny fraction.
And
I
the
can
flags
imagine
as well.
many more people
Nice one,
behind
Nina.
us who all have similar pain. And that leaves you quite winded, really, by the sheer scale and the depth of what's happened here. So the fact that senior clinicians refused to take part in Donna Ockenden's review in Nottingham is totally unacceptable. I think it's wrong. I cannot understand why they thought that was okay for them to take that choice. What I announced on the back of Donna Ockenden's report is that once the Hillsborough law is in place, we will apply the duty of candour to all future maternity investigations. So there's investigations in Leeds and Sussex coming up. People will not have a choice. If they don't participate, they can be punished by up to 2 years in prison. They will have to take part in future.
But when it comes to these Nottingham families, you could right now give a very strong signal to those executives that they have to open up. And I know it's not technically your decision about whether or not they're called to the Health and Select Committee, but your former colleague, your predecessor, Wes Streeting, has said that should happen. Would you like to see them testify or give evidence to the Select Committee?
Well, if the Select Committee invite them, I think they should say yes.
But would you like that to happen?
I would like them to be in public, yes. And look, I've asked for advice about whether the duty of candour can apply retrospectively as well, because I think this, and I don't want to step on toes of Donna Ockenden and the families. I would want to discuss anything with them first.
So you might want the law to apply retrospectively to force them.
Just to be clear, I've asked for advice on that. I don't want to
But you're looking at it as an option.
I think it just feels so wrong. It just feels so wrong that you had senior clinicians in the NHS in Nottingham and they refused to take part in Donna Ockenden's review. They should be held accountable Families need justice, families need answers to what happened, and for so many of them just to say no, it just feels wrong and it has to change.
Just as we close, there's a splash all over the Sunday Times.
Well, the accusations are, of course, shocking, and it reeks of guilt, really. Doesn't make them look any better.
This morning, with more allegations about Nigel Farage's financial arrangements. There is already an investigation into a £5 million donation,
wow.
But the Lib Dems...
So, okay, the BBC are actually all of a sudden aware of what's happened.
This morning say that should be expanded to look at these new allegations. Do you think that the examination of Nigel Farage's finances should be expanded and investigated further?
Well, I think there are a lot of questions for him to answer, and I haven't read all of the detail of the story in the Sunday Times. Frankly, it doesn't surprise me.
Is he playing dumb on this? Come on, man.
To me, because I think quite a lot of questions
clear as fucking
come
day.
up in relation to.
You don't know a bung when you see one.
And he seems to have a bit of a flexible relationship with transparency, if I put it mildly.
Okay, but would you like the investigation to be expanded to look at these latest claims?
Oh, well, I haven't seen the detail of these latest claims because it's just come out this morning. But
have you been living under a rock?
I think he's got a lot of questions to answer.
Okay, we'll put some of them to Robert Jenrick a bit later in the programme. And do you fancy staying in the Cabinet?
That's for Andy to decide. I'm just getting on with my job as Health Secretary.
I think the smile gives it away. We saw you on the edge of the picture there, all those people crowding around Andy Burnham.
Well, look, can I just say, because there's lots of speculation, and it's in your peripheral vision, isn't it? I'm trying to focus on what's in front of me, ending the resident doctors' strikes, making sure I'm spending time with families in Nottingham, expanding a new meningitis B vaccination campaign. That makes a real difference to people's lives. That's what I'm focused on.
James Murray, Secretary of State for Health, thanks very much for coming in and speaking to us this morning. Well, those are some of the challenges in health, but there are plenty of other problems in the public services waiting for Andy Burnham, whether that's prisons, pensions and benefits, or the police.
Still no
Tomorrow,
deliver. We're going to ride through into the Blunkett interview.
Blunkett, former Home Secretary, is publishing a major report that is scathing about the state of police leadership, risk-averse, hampered by excessive paperwork, focusing on the wrong things. Well, Lord Blunkett, who also happens to have been Andy Burnham's old boss, stopped by yesterday to look at...
Well, what a coincidence.
Head to his report.
It's all about leadership. A third of the 43...
He got over there pretty quick.
Forces in England and Wales
pre-recorded
are rated for leadership as inadequate by the Inspectorate. We found that on our surveys 13% of constables and 17% of sergeants didn't have any trust in the leadership above them, staggeringly.
Jacqueline, I don't know if Helena of No Justice has done a specific stream on the Starmer interview. I'm just trying to recall the last time we raided in, or the last time I checked out a stream. I can't say either way, definitely, but I can say that they do a more in-depth analysis of Laura Kussenberg with Kevin Logan, as I'm sure that you're aware, on Sundays. But I don't know. Quite curious to know myself now that you asked that.
16% of constables and
Hello, Mobius as well.
55% of superintendents.
Is this a new? Is this Mobius who we know as Mobius? A different Mobius, or have you changed your? Have you changed your avatar there? Welcome, nonetheless.
We're not comfortable with challenging behaviour above them. So right through the service, there's a need for a reset. And the recommendations will address that. Obviously,
great. You know, you can always rely on the neo-libs for solutions. Another reset. Just hit the big reset button and off you go.
You can't do this overnight, but we believe that with the goodwill of...
Can't do this overnight, of course. The good old excuse for nothing's going to happen, ever.
Everyone in the service.
Not in 1,000 nights.
Right. After all, nobody on the street.
New Scotland Yard. I can never look at New Scotland Yard now without picturing my friend Laura Johnson, who spray painted it, was arrested on the scene. In fact, God. Yeah, that was on October the 14th, 2022. I remember quite specifically. It was actually on the same day as the infamous soup on the sunflowers thing, which obviously went viral across the world. I've been at quite a few protests at New Scotland Yard myself as well, with JSO, who Laura was representing with her action as well. But whenever I see the sign now, because I think that was obviously pretty epic. Both were great actions, the one at the gallery as well.
In their home,
see what's going on.
And nobody working for the service wants poor leadership.
In fact, we'll be seeing more from New Scotland Yard later. There was a protest this weekend, of course. We'll be taking a look at Sue Parfitt, who's also part of JSO, but there with Defend Our Juries earlier today. More from New Scotland Yard to come. Nothing happened to the sign. I'll tell you that as a spoiler. No football spoilers in the chat, please, for the game that kicks off at 9 o'clock, please, as a reminder. Solidarity. Comrie, nice to see you. Very good evening.
Everyone wants a world-class service.
But as things stand, in your view, is the service good enough?
At the moment, the service isn't good enough. At the moment, the morale and motivation of many of those working in the service needs a reset. At the moment, we've got, from the evidence that we've received, such a very large number of those at senior level who have been or are under investigation. I think at the moment there are 8 former or serving chief constables who are...
I'm also going to guess that, speaking of Defend Our Juries and so on and so forth, there's going to be no critique of the prescription of pal action during Blunkett's mini diatribe here about the state of British policing.
Either under disciplinary action or awaiting the result. And that's out of 43 forces. So...
Comrie, you thought he was dead? No, he's still alive. Thus far, the most entertaining thing has been his assistant's dog, as you can see there, of course. David Blunkett is registered blind, for those of you who didn't know. We'll try and keep our eye on what the dog's up to as we get through the interview, with it being the most interesting element thus far.
Getting rid of what we describe, and I don't use the word lightly, of nepotism within the service, and that really affects people's confidence about promotion and about how they're treated.
Well, go on then, what are you going to do about that, Blunkett?
All of that leads us to believe that a new ethical reset is required.
Recently, many senior
ethical resets. Okay.
Politicians have expressed concern about what they describe as two-tier policing. The Conservatives have made that plain. Reform have also made that plain. Do you...
It made a lot of things up as well, Laura.
Think that there is a problem with what some people describe as two-tier?
If you're talking about... don't borrow the syntax from the right, for God's sake, Laura, with two-tier policing. If you're talking about discrimination, for example, it's in what I just mentioned with pal action and Defend Our Juries.
Policing.
I think there's a perception. We've moved the pendulum. It swung from the Macpherson report about outright racism in the force, in particularly the reflections in the Met.
Well, it's inherent in the Met.
All the way through to people saying, oh, it's woke. And we make it clear in the report that there's no...
Could you clearly define what you mean by woke? And that, again, borrowing from the right-wing lexicon, what's happening here? They've tried to replace words like progressive with woke. David, I don't know if you're aware. Because if they say that they're anti-woke, they think it sounds better than being anti-progressive. And now you're saying it.
Oh, what a giveaway. Did you hear that? Did you hear that, eh? That's what I'm on about.
If woke means not being an arsehole, then I'm proud to be woke.
No room for culture wars or woke. The idea that people should be diverted onto other issues is entirely wrong. In fact, I have quite a record on this myself. I wrote back in June 6 years ago, just at the beginning.
You don't know what you mean by woke.
Of
he really
COVID,
doesn't.
When people were talking about the controversy of taking the knee, that it isn't the job of the police in our country to take sides of any sort. It's the job of the police to deliver.
All of this.
We've got to deliver at least. Final with the fucking shit coming out there. At least we've got to deliver. Whoop-de-doo. Okay, so. At least it was worth setting up. Doesn't take very long, but carry on.
This, of course, is.
The dog has now changed position ever so slightly. You can notice there, that's the latest update on that situation as well. So a bit more going on now.
Happening in a very rapidly changing political landscape, not least in your own party. Now, I want to ask you about Andy Burnham in a second. You know him very, very well. But in terms of the departing Prime Minister, why do you think Keir Starmer had to go?
Well, I think Keir Starmer's...
Because Laura Kussenberg hasn't got a clue herself, even though she's paid, what, about 300 grand a year?
Achievement on the international scene, both in terms of his own reputation and the reputation of the UK, dealing with the trade issues and the difficulties of a Donald Trump presidency.
What, the, let me get those papers for you, master? Sucking up to him just to try and avoid these maniacal tariffs that he was throwing around, getting us directly involved with the US-Iran war as well. You consider these to be successes. Throwing 100 billion at the man he's stood on what appears to be a golf course with there. Again, that's not something to be proud of.
Conflicts that have bedeviled us, both in Ukraine and...
Isn't it funny how you get involved in warfare and then all of a sudden you're involved in warfare? Isn't it really amazing that you can sort of bomb countries on the other side of the world, and the population of that country sometimes don't take too kindly to that fact either?
More recently, the attacks on Iran. He's handled those very well, and I've said so and written so over the last 2 years, but that's not been reflected in the domestic agenda. And I think whilst we owe him a debt of gratitude in terms of sorting out the internal toxicity in the Labour Party.
He is the toxicity, has been for years, the deliberate toxicity to change Labour from what it was founded to be, a democratic socialist party founded by unions, founded by the workers, labourers, hence the name, and now it's the neoliberal shambles that it is because of the real toxin, the real poison, and I know that the two are different, of course, venom as well. But it's neoliberalism. My God. My God.
We also
Nothing
need
to gloat about.
a fresh start, and to be able to relate to the British public and say, now is the moment to bring together the things we have done well and to create not just a narrative.
I feel sorry for the dog. The dog's got to listen to this crap every single day, let alone for just a few minutes in this interview.
But a delivery programme that people will feel.
And another... What was that? Sorry, something flashed on the screen there. I didn't throw anything in. He did say deliver. I'll deal with that.
Bring together the things we have done well and to create not just a narrative, but a delivery programme that people will feel over the next 2 or 3...
That was the Beeb, not me. They accidentally cut to another camera for a split second there, I think. Fucking amateurs. 2-0. well, just 2. Sorry, not 2-0. As he's running unopposed in this mini game. We may as well bring up the pick as well. There you go. Nice and smooth.
3 years.
But do you think Keir Starmer has reflected on what he particularly got wrong? Do you think he has ever really, looked in the mirror and thought, yeah, this is where I went wrong?
Well, as someone who's never looked in the mirror and reflected on what I've got wrong, it's a good analogy.
Self-depreciating ableist, self-inflicted ableist joke there from I wasn't expecting that, to be honest.
I think that we're all human.
It went down quite well with Kussenberg, though. What do you guys think? Okay.
And our psychology leads us to protect ourselves in a way we can against believing that we were a complete failure. None of us are a complete failure. We are a brick in the wall. We build and others then stand on our shoulders.
The man hoping then to stand on Keir Starmer's shoulders is Andy.
Brick in the Wall by Pink Floyd there, and also System of a Down mentioned in Toxicity, a rather spurious segue link, if you'll forgive me for that one there. But yeah, Toxicity, as David Blunkett mentioned there, well-known System of a Down song. The dog has now changed position ever so slightly again, moving away from Blunkett and towards Kussenberg. That might be related to what I pointed out earlier, with the fact that the poor dog there is subjected to this claptrap every single day.
Burnham. And in Andy Burnham's book, he thanks you for giving me the best apprenticeship scheme it's possible.
Darren, yeah, I brought up Pink Floyd. He mentioned... he said something like, we're just another brick in the wall, or something like that. He paraphrased, of course, the well-known song and album by Pink Floyd. I'll skip it back a bit.
We were a complete failure. None of us are a complete failure. We are a brick in the wall.
There you go.
We build and others then stand on our shoulders.
But we don't need no Minister for Education or thought control, if that's all right with you.
The man hoping then to stand on Keir Starmer's shoulders is Andy Burnham. And in Andy Burnham's book, he thanks you for giving me the best apprenticeship scheme it's possible to imagine. He was a young man starting...
it's technically the Secretary of State for Education.
...out in government under your tutelage. How
do
you think he's going to approach...
what appears to be the bromance years. It could play some... maybe some Lionel Richie or something over this, I don't know, something cheesily romantic. Perhaps the Lady in Red Tie by Christopher.
The biggest job of his life.
I've got enormous confidence in Andy Burnham. He was my parliamentary private secretary, and that's a job of watching the back of the Secretary of State with colleagues in Parliament. And I trusted him implicitly to watch my back, and I trust him implicitly to lead the country. The experience...
Well, oh no. Not that you're going to be involved, but anybody who is, I think is going to be a bit disappointed when it comes to being stabbed in the back. That remains to be seen.
He's had over the last 9 years in Greater Manchester...
I have my reservations.
3 million, all kinds of challenges, including, by the way, on the issues of policing, have been exemplary. He's shown how you can build public and private partnership, how you can make development work on the ground, how you can make people feel that change is really happening. And that is what we now need to scale up.
Without it actually happening.
Up in Britain as a whole. I'm confident that Andy Burnham will be able to lead it.
The challenges, though, are profound and grave here at home and abroad. And there are people in the Labour Party, you know this, who think, well, Andy Burnham's good on camera, he's a good communicator, people think he looks like a nice guy, but actually he changes his mind quite a lot. Maybe he's a bit of a lightweight. And your former colleague, Alistair Darling, who of course is no longer with us, once said to me that he was like a lorry on ice because he swerved around all the time. What do you say to that?
Well, he's a duplicitous bastard.
Well, not Alistair, but many people I've heard have never known Andy Burnham, and they
Alistair bail out the bank's darling.
talk about people they've met who have also never.
There he is, on the right there, in the seat with, well, that was maybe taken around the time of the 2008 crash. I'm not sure, that's when he was in a lot of the headlines, of course. Bailed out a few of the banks. I think it was Barclays, one of the big ones. Can't remember, but yeah, of course. All those people who gambled and lost on the stock market knew that they'd have people like Alistair Darling to bail them out, didn't they? Tosser. And that's what brought in, of course, austerity, quantitative easing, as it was originally described as at the time.
Known Andy Burnham. I knew him when he was Chief Secretary to the Treasury at a very difficult time, when he was Health Secretary before we lost the election in 2010. But above all...
And he was a duplicitous bastard back then, and he's a duplicitous bastard now. If anyone's going to outdo Starmer's record on U-turns, it could possibly be he.
In the devolved structure that he's taken and built on over the last 9 years, I'm absolutely convinced, with the right team around him, with the backing of our colleagues in Parliament, and with a revitalised Labour Party, we can deliver to the people of Britain.
But is devolution...
Well, you can have another deliver, but like I've pointed out a few times on streams recently, you can't have a revitalised party, as he described it, with the same people. You're just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, as we take the total up to 3-0 now. And if the ingredients are still the same, right, let's say if I give you a few vegetables, some stock and whatnot, you might be able to make me a pretty decent soup. If I then turn round and ask you to make some delicious muffins with the same ingredients, you're going to find yourself pretty, short of provisions. And the same thing applies. You can't revitalise a party that's dead because it's killed itself, made up of the same people. That's it. Done all of this just to undermine Corbyn at the end of the day. I hope you're proud of yourselves, and I hope you think it's worth it.
Which is something people in Westminster discuss in quite a sort of policy wonkish kind of way. Do you think that's really what people want? I mean, you, of course, were the leader of Sheffield City Council before you then entered Westminster politics. But it's being held out as this sort of solution to the country's ills is devolution, which is a political structural change that might be quite hard for people to see why that would make any difference to their lives.
Beardy Blunkett there. What with this? Well, I'm assuming it's back in the 80s. There he is with Neil Kinnock. Couldn't beat Thatcher. Lost an election because he fell over on a beach, apparently. Told those were the days. And now he's in the House of Lords. And his son is a Corbyn undermining POS as well. Just as it so happens. Nostalgic. Look back at the 80s there.
Yeah, two things strike me, Laura. One is...
Kinnock. Still ginger.
That I would never have been, whatever success...
Sorry, red-headed.
I had in government in the 8 years I was in Cabinet, I would not have been able to deliver in that way had I not had the experience of leading Sheffield for 7 years. And secondly, I learnt that when you devolve, it's not good enough just to transfer administration and structures to a little nearer people. They've got to actually feel a change in their community and neighbourhood. So pure devolution without building the capacity.
It's not, obviously, he said another deliver. The dog has now moved into a central sedentary position in frame. This is very interesting, the most interesting development, apart from the forementions of deliver, of course. But there they are. Look at the cheeky chap. Again, you've got to feel sorry for that dog.
It's not good enough.
Do you feel more sorry for this dog or the one that's in Keith's Fondue Lounge? Let me know in chats.
Just to transfer administration and structures to a little nearer people, they've got to actually feel a change in their community and neighbourhood. So pure devolution without building the capacity.
You're against devolution because you're establishment, we get it.
To deliver underneath, the connectivity to people in their lives
deliver.
Won't work. So it's got to be a process.
So Blunkett's coming in late with all of the quota.
Change. And whether we can manage that in the next 3 years is open to conjecture.
Oh, it's
I just think
now.
we have to have a go.
Well, he is in the party,
Is there one
of course.
piece of advice you would give him? I mean, is there maybe a danger that he might overpromise because he's so keen to show that he's not Keir Starmer and things are going to be different when actually the problems of the country are just the same?
The dog's now retreated under the table.
Same.
Now, my words to him, which I've already delivered, was not, don't be too ambitious. We need hope. We need momentum. We need drive.
Oh, Erin, I'm not dehumanising the dog by any stretch. No, of course. They're certainly better than the human being you can see on your screens right now. Yeah, you've got to love a dog.
My message was just be yourself, stay yourself. And the Andy Burnham I know will do it.
Lord Blunkett, thank you so much indeed for coming to speak to us today. Thank you.
So that was that. 5 delivers from David Blunkett. Lord Blunkett, as he is now, of course. Comrie, it boils your piss about the news media, the conflation and air quotes omitting the fact that nobody's talking about devolving England's governance as a country, which undermines the Welsh devolved governances. Yeah, how this has forced itself into the main narrative now to try and take precedence over Welsh and Scottish independence as well. It's very frustrating, has to be said. Herbie. So we ended up with 5. I thought we were going to get more over the 3 interviews. There you go. My goodness. That was a challenge. They've been subjected to those 3 in a row.
Very poor indeed, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll get on to something better right away.
On with it. Yes, get on with it. Get on with it.
Just a snippet, not the full interview, but it's Zack Polanski. He's going to give his 2 cents on Burnham. He was on the BBC Breakfast Show earlier on. Let's see what he's got to say.
I wonder what you think should be top of Andy Burnham's list of priorities.
I think the first priority for our new Prime Minister has to be a wealth tax. We have vast inequality in our society. The 50 wealthiest families own more wealth than 34 million people in this country. It's not sustainable, and that's why so many people watching this programme this morning are worried about transport to work, about the price of fuel, about putting food on the table. All of these are problems that a government have the capacity to fix. But years of squandering it under Keir Starmer has left us in the state we're in. Andy Burnham has to grasp this agenda. At the moment, things don't look good. He's appointed Josh Simons, someone who was fired as a minister because it turned out that he'd allegedly hired
You've got to like how he puts the ball in Burnham's court with this one, with the wealth tax. I don't think you're going to hear any calls of taxing the super wealthy coming from Burnham. And if the two Mancunians want to have it out, I think Polanski's going to have the upper hand. Excuse me.
Investigator to follow journalists around, and James Purnell, a corporate lobbyist who made the case for oil and gas companies and the private healthcare companies. We actually need someone in number 10 who cares about people in this country and not about making profit for the super rich.
Just pick up on the idea of the wealth tax then. There's a report this morning.
Got a freeze here. You might experience some buffering for a couple of seconds. Bear with, again. Apologies, people. We'll consult the IT team immediately.
Oh, come on now. Not there, please. Not there. Oh, you fucking bastard.
As you can see, we're experiencing a minor technical difficulty here on my left eye. Our team of expertly trained technicians are working busily to restore the stream. In the meantime, please make sure that you've hit the thumbs up button harder than you'd like to hit Keir Starmer in the ghoulies, and left a comment down below. Thank you.
Okay, we're back. Sorry about the brief delay. Let's crack on with Polanski. Just have to find the place again.
I wonder what you think should be top of...
Roundabout. Here-ish. We'll go from there.
For oil and
I wonder what you think.
And James Purnell, a corporate lobbyist who made the case for oil and gas companies and the private healthcare companies. We actually need someone in number 10 who cares about people in this country and not about making profit for the super rich.
Just pick up on the idea of the wealth tax then. There's a report this morning in the Mail on Sunday that he is considering reducing the threshold for the proposed mansion tax from £2 million down to £1.5 million. Would you support that? The Greens in Scotland support that kind of idea. Would you support that idea?
It would be a step in the right direction, but what we can't do is tinker at the edges, and we should really be looking at something like a land value tax. Most people agree that council tax in this country, for instance, is a regressive system that hasn't been working, but a land value tax would be a much better way of bringing income into the Treasury. But the first place he should be visiting, though, is to bring capital gains tax in line with income tax. The reason why that's important is right now, if you clean a building, you could be paying more in tax proportionately than the person who owns the building. That's just not fair, and that's not natural. It's a political choice. And Andy Burnham could make different political choices, like taxing 1%, for instance, on assets of £10 million or more, or 2% on assets of £1 billion or more. We really need system change.
Yeah, you raise a lot of money and most people still live affluent lives.
And in every single decision, it has to be, how can we redistribute money and power from the very top into our communities?
You'll know the argument, of course, about the wealth tax, that you drive people out of the country, they take their wealth and their money elsewhere, and that then, if they are the people who are helping to drive...
No, they are vampires. They absorb and hoard wealth. They don't spread it through the masses. That's how they acquire wealth in the first place. And if they are going to go, then good riddance to them. That isn't what you want.
Growth affects the rest of the economy because we don't get the growth that we're after.
Just forget the trickle-down bullshit. Growth. Heard it 1,000 times. I think Zack has as well, you can tell by the expression. But we'd rather have people who perhaps paid the staff fairer or charged more reasonable prices, paid the suppliers a fairer price, including suppliers here in the UK. rather than just hoarding private wealth amongst a small amount of people. Why should we have over 150 billionaires in the country when we've also got 4 million children in poverty?
How do you square that circle?
Well, the Green Party have been countering that nonsense for a long time because actually it was named trickle-down economics. This idea that if the super rich get richer, that money will flow to the rest of us. And you know what? 40 years of that has totally failed us. And actually, when people live in this country, they live in this country, people like the patriotic millionaires, for instance, a group of millionaires who are saying, please tax us more, because actually a more equal society is very good, obviously, for the poorest people in our society. But it's good for richer people in our society too, because the businesses they run rely on the workers who use the National Health Service, who use our public transport system, who, if they get in trouble, want to know that we have a police force that is funded properly. And so ultimately, when we look at the evidence, there's very little evidence of what's known as capital flight, that people actually leave. But this myth has been propagated for a long time, largely by billionaire-owned media, who, for their own interests, which your viewers can probably work out, don't want a wealth tax. So they push this scare story that people are going to leave. But actually, in countries around the world, this just doesn't happen.
No, because they can still make a profit. Yeah, it's a smaller profit because they're taxed more, but they still like profit. So they won't leave wholesale. They'll just have to take the hit, because if they left, then it would be even worse for them financially. So you really have to call the bluff, really, when these sort of veiled threats are made. Well said, Zack.
It's like Switzerland, a place with famously a lot of wealthy people has had a wealth tax, and they're doing perfectly well out of it.
And bringing up Switzerland as an example, as we get towards the end of the clip. Yeah, well said, Zack. Another trash mainstream media interviewer there, but we're going to concentrate on the media itself. With the next feature, and we've got Stop the Press coming up next.
Socialists. Oh my God.
Yeah, well, see what's happening in the mainstream now. A fairly new feature on the show. It's a quality item.
Hey, listen to this!
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Stop the pressures!
Yes, go and bang on your neighbours' doors and tell them the news that the mainstream media think is most paramount. We've got two stories to look at in this edition of Stop the Press. It turns out the BBC are actually the culprits in both cases. Which one should we do? We'll do this one first. Just side. Yes, as we still suffer through austerity whilst we have an ongoing climate crisis, international conflicts, and of course the illegal occupation of Gaza, the BBC would rather direct your attention to the fact that a singer and her boyfriend, who I understand plays American Hand Egg, have got married. And there was a live feed about this yesterday on the BBC homepage, on the BBC News homepage as well. Adam Sandler. It's actually strange that Adam Sandler is coming up in an edition of Stop the Press. You'll eagle-eyed viewers will see why when the feature ends. But apparently he attended, and lots of information here. Celebrities in attendance, this kind of thing. The clothes, and I really can't stand this, you know, like at fashion shows and whatnot, and the who are you wearing thing, all the corporate sellout shit. A man of honour instead of a maid of honour, apparently. How interesting. List of celebrities. I'm not going to read through the list of celebrities who attended. But apparently this is, very important news, and they had, as I said, minute by minute updates happening with reporters on the scene. What do you make of this one, people? Pretty poor from the BBC. But that's not all. I'll just get the other article on screen. It's sort of a follow-up on a previous Stop the Press item. Of course, it's another story about members of royalty, or former members of royalty, whatever, in this case. There's been a lot of talk in the mainstream press about whether Prince Harry would receive police protection upon his visit back over to the UK. Of course, now he lives abroad with Meghan, you can see there. And further speculation now. It's really, really riveting stuff. Trying to start this, the opening line there. If coverage of the royal family can seem like a soap opera, it's never more so than when Prince Harry is in town. They say, in literally trying to make a soap opera out of it themselves. Again, this was on the homepage. With Stop the Press, of course, we don't go digging through obscure archives or anything. It has to be stuff that's being pushed out in front of other stories. And of course, since he left his official duties from the royal family, stated he just wants to live his life like an ordinary person, quietly and humbly. And I don't know about you, but I always feel entitled to police protection wherever I go, just like an ordinary, humble, private person. God, how long's this article? I'm not going to read through it or anything. Speculation, of course, about how well he gets on with his brother, who's the heir to the throne. He and his kids were recently featured in Stop the Press as well. Of course, with that article that their rich children will be going to rich and exclusive school. So that's the latest on this debacle, this royal/former royal soap opera that the BBC are drumming up. Of course, they pay a royal correspondent, so they'll feel that they're obliged to try and force this information upon us from time to time. Celebs and royals keep the dumb fucks distracted. Yes, JK. Bread and circus, is it? Bread and circuses, I should say. Is it? Flow Snake, no, Stop the Press isn't anything to do with the government's interference in the YT recommender algorithm. But while we're on that matter, actually, thanks for bringing that up, because we've had some news this week, not specifically about the channel, but to all of the smaller YouTube content providers, or in fact any non-corporate provider, because apparently the likes of the BBC News, Sky et al. Are going to be given precedence, be given preference within the algorithm itself. So YouTube have written to all of the content providers, including ourselves, and asked us to provide reasons why we'd be against it. Now, apparently, it seems that the default move is to actually go ahead. Of course, we're against it. They already have an advantage. The whole point of YouTube and political content providers is to provide alternative media. So this would be awful. That would be stated as well. Of course, recently you probably heard the news as well that other outlets, those that we at My Left Eye are humbled by, the likes of the Canary, have been debanked. It's an attack on alternative media, basically. It's completely unjust. You can find out more about that, of course, by going to the Canary. Double Down News did an interview with one of the excellent journalists, and yeah, I'm very pleased to say that I've done some collabs on Action with media, with the Canary as well. So it's bad enough, you know, they've already got the airwaves, and now they want, of course, to be prioritised on the Great Information Superhighway, or more specifically, this very platform. I don't know if you people were aware of that. I'd like to know what you think about it. We're certainly going to be joining others in appealing against it. So that's it for Stop the Press this time around. See what humdrum the mainstream are going to throw at us next time.
Who gives a dusty fuck?
Is that it?
Who gives a shit? Yeah. Oh!
I'm very disappointed.
Okay, start the presses.
That takes 4 hours.
Whatever, I'll be at most.
Okay, people. Where are we at? What's next? Next is just a very quick reminder. Please hit thumbs up on the stream. Do share your thoughts as well with us in the poll as to who you think, what your immediate thoughts are for who will win the Manchester mayoral election. No hot seats episode this evening. But do share your thoughts on that now. Most of you still going for the Green Party with 60%. Air quotes, the Labour Party, Lino, with 16. 12% of you think it will be reformplc.co.uk/recycle Tories, and also 12% think no overall control. Interesting. Some interesting developments in the poll. Speaking of polls, we'll do a very quick segue onto voting by age demographic poll. I'm going to see now. We should. There we go. From YouGov. Because this is something to feel a bit more positive about. We've made mention of how well the Greens have been doing in a lot of the younger categories. You can see there where the 18 to 24 bracket is concerned, 39%. That's a huge margin in the lead. Also as well, significantly with 25 to 29-year-olds. In fact, more or less having the entire under 40 market. It's slightly closer in the 30 to 39 bracket, as you can see there. But that's good for Greens. Labour on the wane course, and as you see towards the bottom right, Reform getting something of a lead in the over 50s, but not matching 39% in any demographic. Of course, by the time of the next scheduled general election, 16-year-olds will have been given the votes. We're led to believe. Maybe Burnham might even U-turn on that one. So that's just the latest one there. Got a few other things to try and keep our spirits up. Next, after having to go through those 3 interviews, first off, did you hear about this one, people? Yeah. This is local authority council level, but Reform's bid to axe climate emergency funding, this is, was thrown out days after Heat delayed the debate. Yeah. The meeting itself cancelled because of the climate crisis. Idiots. Denial isn't just a river in Africa. Sums them up pretty well, but just sticking with the climate crisis as well. Top wordplay here, excellent punning from Fossil Free London. I really like this one. Don't worry, that fire there is just cardboard, I believe. for anyone who's concerned for the safety. But yeah, fossil fuels, Andy, don't burn them is the pun. We do like a good pun here on My Left Eye. This was in front of the Houses of Parliament, as you can see there, earlier this week. Well done, fossil-free London. We mentioned Defend Our Juries and Sue Parfitt specifically, who I'll be coming on to again in a couple of moments. First of all, don't know if you've been made aware of this gesture from Lush, the Lush outlets. I'm sure if you're in the UK, most of you already know them, but donating 75% of the profits towards Defend Our Juries from these products you can see here. That's just a gesture to the outrage concerning how Defend Our Juries protesters have been treated. Of course, they're an organisation that I'm proud to support myself as well. Well done, Lush. Bit of good news. So next time you're around, keep an eye out for these, going to a good cause. If you're a fan of the old bath bombs there. Nice. Lush. Nice and Lush. I did mention Sue Parfitt there. Of course, I'm going to share this one with you now. This is her latest protest outside the aforementioned new Scotland Yard. Literally getting on a bit of a soapbox with a megaphone. So this is her speech. Of course, she's already been arrested multiple times with Defend Our Juries, and of course with she's a fellow supporter of Just Stop Oil as well. Very brave lady, retired Anglican priest. So let's see what Sister Sue's got to preach here. And also, if you're not aware of how this ends, I'll come on to that when it happens in the footage, I guess, but no spoilers and chats. I oppose genocide on the very short soapbox, but of course, yeah, Sue has mobility issues.
My heart goes out to the suffering people of Palestine. In Gaza, where there is still a genocide, unreported now of course, and in the occupied West Bank, where homes and villages and towns are being razed to the ground and sold off, can you imagine it, to people, some in this country, to buy, to Judicize the whole of the land between the river and the sea, regardless of the fact this is Palestinian land. So what can I do at my age and my frailty? Very little. I do what I can to support the Palestinians. And one of the best things that I can do is to support the organization known as Palestine Action, because they have been brave enough to, some of them, smash up the weapons that are producing the genocide. So
because she said that part, I can say as a matter of fact, I want to re-emphasise that I'm saying this as a matter of fact. it is illegal to say that you support Palestine action. You can be arrested for that, and the police have chosen, in this case, to arrest Sue Parfitt for saying those words that I just quoted. To point out a matter of fact.
Ask you too to support Palestine action.
Wow.
Join me.
And she was arrested. I'll may as well just
Things that I can do.
in case you missed the horrendous crime that just took place in front of your eyes.
Is to support the organisation known as Palestine Action.
That's all she had to say.
Because they have been brave enough to, some of them, smash up the weapons that are
Brave, unlike these. I hope these arresting officers are very proud of themselves. I hope they go home and disclose to their families what they've done today. You can see the clear menace within our society there on your screens. Poor Sue Parfitt there. Unbelievable. Yeah, obviously I have a personal bias. Sue's a fellow supporter of mine, but it's as clear as day to anybody that this legislation is absolutely ridiculous. This is a non-violent protest outside Scotland Yard. I've protested outside Scotland Yard many times myself as well. Yeah, I will admit we've kind of pushed it to the limit where getting arrested or not is concerned, and sometimes we've gone over that limit and I've been arrested for whatever I've done. This is ridiculous, and it's an embarrassment to the Metropolitan Police. Solidarity with Sue. I'll just bring up another article now. Herbie, if you could furnish us with some background, Giles. Thank you very much. The link is just here. 1 sec. Yeah. Sue's also part of this story. It's excellent segue. It's some more positive news, though, where I want to bring this sort of segment on protest to a close. Let's end on a high, because Sue, as well as 6 other supporters of Just Stop Oil, have been acquitted for an action during the slow march action phase, which was in April of 2023. I also took part in those actions, not this specific one, of course, but I can see a lot of familiar faces. It's really good to share the good news as well. Apart from Sue, I won't mention anybody's names unless they're mentioned in this article, of course. It's always a policy of mine, unless they're so prolific that they're already very well known, of course. With the odd person. But it does name everybody. That's good. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't too certain before I started scrolling there whether it mentioned the names or not. So Sue Parfitt, obviously. Molly Somerville, Catherine Nisbet, Greta Dargy, Hannah Schaefer, Sally Davidson and Sam Mead were amongst approximately 50 supporters who joined a slow march. That was around the IMAX roundabout heading towards Waterloo Bridge. Arrested and charged with Section 7 of the Public Order Act 2023. Doc Davies, thank you very much for the 5 gifted memberships. Davinia, stand by. Are you one of the recipients? Oh, unfortunately not, but thank you very much nonetheless. Doc, can we big up in the chat, please, everybody? I'll update the total now. 117. Thanks again. Do keep trying, people. Let's see if we can... Your target is Davinia. See if we can get Davinia a gifted membership on tonight's stream. Yeah, speaking of members, gifted memberships, those people will now have access, of course, to members-only videos, including the My Just Stop Oil Journey series, which is on there, which provides a lot of information about what I got up to in JSO leading up to this particular action phase, in fact. But there were a lot of changes in legislation, of course, this being the second main action phase in London. And after the first one, it really sort of got Mark Rowley's attention, for example. They brought in various legislation to try and interfere with JSO's plans, which included the use of this Section 7. As you can see, the Public Order Act there, 2023, that act was brought in specifically to affect non-violent direct action groups such as JSO. Quite shameful. Something that isn't shameful is absolutely awesome. Is another 5 gifted memberships coming in from Comrie. Thank you very much for those 5. Again, yeah, unfortunately, Davinia not receiving. Nobody has any control over that, though. It just picks 5 random subscribers. But thank you very much again. It takes up to 122. Let's big up Comrie in the chat, please, everybody. Can we keep this hype momentum going out there as we proceed? 22. So I do always like to bring good news. So it has transpired that the aforementioned legislation that was brought in turned out to be ineffective. So tough tits. Yeah, it's another win for JSO. I won't read through the full article there, but you can find that on the JSO website, which is still active, of course. JSO not currently active, having hung up the Orange High Vis last year. But if you go to juststopall.org, you can have a full read through some of the quotes. I'll just pick out 1 or 2 actually. Yeah, let's go with this from Sally, who's a hairdresser from Dorset. She says, the laws used to prosecutors were written by a fossil fuel funded think tank and fundamentally changed our rights. I'm concerned that the jury could see that prosecuting peaceful people who are asking their government to act in the interest of public safety is insanity. Some justice has been done today. Kate Nisbet, who's a scientist and music journalist from Leeds, said, what utter madness, given what we know about the climate crisis, to prosecute peaceful climate activists for a minimally disruptive slow march. And they really were. I took part in a few. I filmed a lot of them as well, moving from location to location, and you're talking about 15 to 20 minutes minimal disruption as a small group of people marched with placards very slowly down roads in London. Good stuff, good result. For the record, I don't have any upcoming or ongoing trials or anything. I've had all of my arrests and trials and convictions and or acquittals or discontinuation of cases. But do you randomly get gifted subs to channels you don't visit all the time? Well, yeah, it is just random, I guess. That has happened to me, actually. Not channels that I never watch, but that don't have the time to watch as frequently as I'd like. We'll have another comedy interlude, I think, whilst we're in good spirits following that good news. Somebody who's not been on My Left Eye for a while, but a really good impression nonetheless. Yeah, given the fact that it's just gone Independence Day as well, why not? This is Ross Childs with his impersonation of J.D. Vance. There's a link in the description for this video on the channel. Highly recommend you check them out. There's a few sort of in-jokes there regarding the fact that J.D. Vance may in fact not even be from the planet Earth. But I don't want to give too much away at this fact, at this point I should say. I've not seen this clip. He might be bringing up the Galalthian Mining Corporation. Let's see, as we thank Aaron for another 5 gifted memberships. Just very quickly before we get into the clip, I'll change the total to 127. Thanks again. Yeah, unfortunately missing Divinia. Nice shooting though. No bullseyes just yet. Keep the shots coming in. We need bullets, and that means gifted memberships, people. Thank you very much. Again, Aaron, big up in the chat.
Hello, I'm Vice President and guy who kidnapped Carl. JD, enough with the cute shit, DJ. I came here to Vance, and I am at Electric Forest. How long have you worked here?
Sorry. Sorry, I wasn't expecting that sudden change in volume. Please continue.
Okay, good. Say, would anyone like to engage in the imbibement of illicit substances, preferably Schedule 2 or higher? How long have you worked here?
How long have I worked here?
Okay, good. Wander World. Where am I? Good life, huh? Sounds like what happens when your love seat and your couch never meet. This music is very loud and not enjoyable. So you're saying if I eat these many gummies, you'll support me for president in 2028? Okay. These taste kind of funny. They're the most unique tasting gummies I've ever had.
JD,
still, I think they're plenty okay good.
Alien JD Vance on edibles. Let's see how this works out.
Okay. Fine. I think I've been wrong about almost everything I've ever believed. I've supported policies, introduced policies that have hurt a lot of people. I do feel like this experience has changed me. This is going to be the beginning of a new J.D. Vance. How long have I worked here? Not very long at all. In fact, today is my first day, but it's about to be okay. Oh my God. Good gravy. Oh, you're one of those.
Oh shit.
Forest girls I've heard so much about. It's been a long night.
Why is there a couch in the middle of a forest?
I have been drinking my electrolytes. You okay, good?
Because I'm Yvette. Yes, that's the name I have. That name is
Trick Avenue.
Yvette. And if you say JD followed quickly by that, then you have said my name, JD.
Hello? How long have you viewed here?
Long enough to know that Rothschilds is incredibly good and you should go and subscribe immediately. There's a link in the description, like I said, as well as for that video if you want to check it out. Again, the latest in his J.D. Vance series. No mention of the Galalthian Mining Consortium on this occasion, but still quality content. Regardless. Ooh, that was good. Oh. Of course we are a serious channel all about politics and society from a left-wing point of view.
This is actually very serious.
I can't say that the festival he appeared to be attending there has come into my periphery of view, but again, if you're from the States and you're familiar with it, do let us know. Maybe you bumped into Rothschild yourself while you were there. But he is, of course, incredibly awesome. And here are some other awesome people. These are the members that we had at the start of the stream. Thank you very much for all of you gifted memberships this evening as well. Of course, update the list post haste. And super chat, super stickers are still open if you're watching live as well. There's the Buy Me a Coffee page, as well as super thanks if you're watching back later on. Thanks for all your support wherever it comes from though. And just a few simple gestures like a thumbs up on this stream or a share on your social media also could go a long way as well. Please do give our latest video, that is non-stream video content, a bit of a boost. Thank you, good people. Oh, Lucaroo with 10 gifted memberships landing there. Incredible stuff. Thank you very much. Come on now, let's see if we can get Davinia in one of those 10. Oh, come on. Oh, I don't think so. Never mind. But still, an excellent contribution. Thank you very much. 137 now. Do keep firing. Fire away. Good people. Let's big up Lucaroo in the chat, please, everybody. Hope all you new members do enjoy your perks. Like I said, I've made mention of some of the exclusive contents on there as well. You'll also get members' first viewings on some of our videos, other perks to enjoy, including static emojis on live streams. Yes, I do. Please check them out. Yes, Lou, that's what I like to see. stay right where you're situated, comrades. We'll be raiding into another channel in a few moments. Still post-credit shenanigans and whatnot. But let's see who's live.
And I'm getting quite near the end now of this analysis.
I think there's a strong chance of it being Helena and or Kevin Logan on a Sunday. Yep, indeed. So I think this will be a simultaneous broadcast, of course, with Helena and Kevin conversation with each other, but we'll raid into Kev's channel and do hit thumbs up and show support when we get over there. I know a lot of regular viewers here are already familiar with Kevin Logan, but if not, do subscribe. I've not forgotten the poll, Comrie. Don't worry, it's here on my schedule. I have forgotten polls in the past, though, I do have to admit.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
That does actually serve as a reminder in the final few moments to get your votes in if you've not voted yet. Who do you think is going to win the mayoral election here in Manchester? The so-called Labour Party, the Green Party, reform.co.uk/recycled Tories, or possibly no overall control? You have but a couple of moments to vote. I'll be ending the poll as soon as the stream comes to a close. As indeed, all that remains is for me to thank you for joining us on the Sunday live stream. Solidarity once again this Socialist Sunday. I've been your humble host, Lefty. I'll be catching up with you next on The Brews at 10 during next week, so hit the notification button and you won't miss out on that. But until then, I shall say, power to the people, free Palestine, Lebanon, Sudan and Yemen. Don't let the bastards grind you down. Don't watch the news, be the news. And my left eye will be seeing you very soon. Good night. And we're getting back into Keith's Fondue Lounge as well. See you next time, people.
It's a quality item, ladies and gentlemen.
It's what Hitler and Goering did, and it is textbook. And if you think the next time it happens, we're gonna recognize it because they're wearing scary uniforms, you're out of your damn mind.